It's me. I'm back. Lawrence Presman, the NFL Presidential Address, Week 1. We're talking football. Mid-major Matt Joseph, sportsmemo.com. Ralph Michaels, Mr. TNA at Cal Sports LV. And Ralph, I've already said hello to you today. Wager Talk today, best show out there, 12 to 1 Eastern time every day. So let's go to Matt. What's up, my brother? How are you doing? And you know what, Matt? The chemistry between the three of us was great. I think you're an outstanding analyst. Your game breakdowns are must listen to. Ralph wanted you on. Ralph, what's up, my friend? How are you? You did great today on Wager Talk today. Some awesome trends and angles, especially the stuff on that Coastal Carolina, Kansas game everybody keeps talking about.
With. So I think you're the perfect addition.
Yeah, I do like the props, and I'd like to thank the bosses for allowing me to bet on the props. And so, if I can find an angle, I'll certainly provide it.
Awesome stuff. Mid-major Matt, that's his Twitter handle. Make sure to follow him. I know we had a little sound situation at the beginning. It's all fixed now. Ralph, say hi. Let's see if the sound is back.
Hey guys, you back? I just want to mention Mid-Major Matt, first year. Guys, watched them with our previews. If you guys have $2 in your pocket, spend it the right way. Mid-Major Matt has released 0 football 5% plays at Sports Memo up until now. He was the $2 handicapper yesterday. We talked Sports Memo people into leaving him up today. So for $2, get Mid-Majors Matt's first ever 5% football play.
Yeah, dude, good luck on that. I'm excited, and I love the play. We spoke about it earlier. I'm betting the play as well, so let's hope you win it and win it easy. I want to welcome the guys in. Brian Watson, Jesus, dude, just move into my house, man. Just email me. I'll send you the address. I got a bed downstairs. Dana Schneider, man, I really appreciate the words. Absolutely love the show. I've been watching it for years. Dana, you know how much this show has changed. God, 3 years ago, I was doing this myself. Then I had it with Kelly. Last year was with Ralph. Now we got Ralph and Matt. So thanks, Dana, for watching this show really start coming together. Beastly Bronco, dude, thanks for the kind words. I know you love the show. And yeah, man, I'll start right off the bat. I had a rough year last year in NFL, Ralph. It was my start, dude, and I just couldn't get out of it. I mean, the first 6 weeks were an absolute nightmare for me. I have a different strategy going into this year, which we'll talk about. But look, I fixed it, man. I had a great second half, and I'm coming into the season on a 13-4 NFL run. But yeah, beastly Bronco. I mean, look, it happens to all of us. If it means anything, I've in 21 years of handicapping NFL, last year was my second worst. I had a year in the 30% zone about 15 years ago, but I'm going to bounce back. I've been studying NFL like crazy. So how's the show going down? Well, we're going to first start telling you how we're going to look at the NFL season, specifically week 1. It's going to be an interesting week to bet. Then Ralph is going to do some TNA for us, and then we're going to take apart every single game on the board. And inside of that will include sides and totals, and of course, Matt Joseph will provide some player props if he has any. So, Ralph, let's start with how we're going to attack, specifically week 1. For me, I'm going to wade very carefully here. I normally come out firing in week 1. I'm going to have a maximum of 3 plays. I already know what those 3 plays are. One's up now. 2 will be up later tonight. And I'm really, I'm going to stay away from a lot of overs. I think we're going to see some unders this year. I think the offense is going to come in out of sync. I'm looking at this as at week one as really the week of the unders and the dogs. +9 on Cleveland, for instance. That's a play I'm interested in. So I'm really going to wade very carefully. I'm not going to have a ton of opinions this week. We got to see how this thing shapes up. What are your thoughts?
I can't agree with you more, Prez. I'm going to be conservative. I've already told my customers to downgrade a unit, what you're going to play. The thing is this is historic. No one's ever been through it. So it is absolutely foolish to say, well, they didn't have preseason games and they didn't have fall camps, and it's going to mean this. You can guess what it's going to be, but I am not going to bet money on guessed situations.
Yeah.
I will handicap like I normally handicap week one, be more conservative, be very open to making adjustments after week one, but all I can do is this: handicap what I know, use those plays, and have a wide open mind moving forward on what has to occur from 1 week to the next.
Matt, I'm with you, Ralph. Matt, what are your thoughts on how to attack this week?
Well, I think this week is a learning week, as Ralph said. I mean, I want to know when the COVID tests are going to come in, and what's the chances that on Sunday, the day of the game, we don't have somebody. So I am going to tread lightly. Yeah. I agree with you. I'm not playing overs this week. I'm playing more unders. And, dogs will be interesting because, look, I think the better team is going to win more often on the road, but because there's going to be no crowds.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to kind of even some things up a little bit. A lot of times we'll go to a hostile atmosphere and a team will struggle and the crowd will be into it. Well, a lot of places you're not going to have that this year. So therefore, I think talent is going to win out more early on, especially as we try and figure things out how COVID world goes.
Yeah, we're all on the same page. And guys, really, why Cap? Thanks for joining us. He writes, I always say I'm going to be conservative. Never works for me. Dude, just give it 1 week. Like all of you guys, no rush. We've got a whole NFL season in front of us. Just be careful this week. As for Jeff Swassey, thank you for joining us. He likes that $2 play that he's buying from you, Matt. So thank you for that, Robert M. Nice to see you, my friend. Okay, so Ralph, let's get into some trends and angles for week one, and then we'll start taking the board apart.
Well, there's a handful of things I have for week one, and the number one thing to talk about are week one division dogs. Now, there's many more week one division dogs than there have been in the past because they wanted to schedule close games for the NFL. So there's a lot of division games where there's not a lot of cross-country travel. But week one division dogs have gone 21-5 against the spread since 2014. Week one division dogs with a total of 47 or less, 17-2. That's the Jets, the Jags, the Bears, the Dolphins, the Redskins, and the Packers. So again, I'm not blindly going to play those, but just think about them. Week one, home favorites. When you have a home favorite and a total of 48 or more, there's a handful of those. Those teams have actually gone 74% to the over. 17 overs, 6 unders, 2 pushes. That's KC Houston on Thursday, even though I lean the under in that game. And that's Baltimore, Cleveland, as well as New Orleans and Tampa Bay. Since 2011, teams that have a regular season win total less than their opponent and they're a favorite. Weeks 1 through 4, those teams 34-57, 37% against the spread. Who is that? Well, that's the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions season win total is less than the Bears, but Detroit is favored. It would have been Denver and Tennessee, but we've seen a massive line switch in that game where Tennessee is now the favorite. One more. Since 2010, NFL teams that go 0-6 in the division in 1 year, those teams, Cleveland, the LA Chargers, and I'm missing one. No, it wasn't Cleveland. Boy, I went brain dead on the stat. But if you went 0-6 in your division, the next year you have actually gone 31, 13-1, 71% against the spread. And weeks 1 through 10, the first two parts of the year, 27-8, 77%. So those teams that did go 0-6 certainly do have a chip on their shoulder when they're playing division foes the next season.
Awesome stuff, Ralph Michaels. I think Rye Cape put it best. Love listening to Ralph talk trends. And just so everybody knows, Ralph talks trends every day. Wager Talk today, show Teddy and I do 12 to 1 Eastern time. Ralph is the final guest on that show every day, and he's always talking trends. So make sure to check that out. As for Jeff Window, thanks for logging on, brother. Thanks for watching the show. Listen, I'm going to address your point right direct. He says Tony Finn should be on the NFL show. So here's the bottom line deal, and then we're going to take apart all the games. If you look on the bottom of the screen, it says, who do you buy for the NFL season? This is really straightforward. Who do you buy for college football? If you're going to buy the entire season, you buy Dave Koken. Who do you buy for NFL if you're going to buy the entire season? You buy Tony Finn. Tony Finn is heads above the majority of people that we know in this industry. Last year, he was 50-26. Matt, that is 66% on an entire NFL season. Have you ever done anything like that? That's absurd. It's insane.
No, I've never done anything that good in my life.
I'm with you on that. I can't do that. I can't do that ever. Ralph, you're like Mr. College Basketball. Have you ever had 66% in a college basketball season?
No, I've had a college football season like that. College basketball, I have way too much volume. If I had 66%, you'd be up $1 million because I have 400 plays. So that'll never happen in college basketball. I've had one college football season like that where for a 3-week period, I went 23-1.
That's pretty sick, dude. Yeah, that's pretty sick. Here, the craziest part about it is Tony has hit over 65% on an entire season, 3 of the last 6 years. His entire Wager Talk lifetime NFL record is 60.7%. So he is the man to buy in the NFL if you're going to buy a season. Why isn't he on this show? We don't have 5 hours to do this show. Is that a fair reason, Ralph?
Well, Prez, let me get into this. I've got this story that when I met this guy and we were, Tony can take a story and extend the story quite a bit. So I would say that's very fair.
Yeah. I mean, Matt, you would not get a word in if Tony Finn was on this show.
I've been on baseball shows with him, and I've had problems getting words in.
Yeah. So we love Tony, and he is the guy in NFL, but he can't come on the show because he just talks too much. He has too much information. Ralph, have you ever seen the guy's analysis? When you buy a pick from Tony Finn, I am not kidding you, it is like 5 freaking pages.
Yeah, he likes to write, and he's very good at it. So I enjoy reading his stuff, and again, I am wowed when I look at some of the numbers that he's put up. So can certainly agree with the thought about Tony. If you're going to get one NFL guy, it's always nice to have the bar set high because you're never happy as a handicapper because you're always going for him. So watch out, Tony. I'm going to get you this year, bud.
You heard it here. Terry Edelman asks if I have a favorite NFL team. Growing up, my team were the Dallas Cowboys. I was so hardcore. I painted my one wall silver with blue stripes and blue stars. My other wall was blue with silver stripes and silver stars. I was an absolute Tony Dorsett fanatic. I loved the line. Randy White, too tall. They were my team. Roger Staubach, Pearson, both of them, Everson Walls, on and on and on. But now that I'm a professional gambler, my team is the team I am betting on. Mike, I am calling the kettle black. That is a great point. Wow, Prez accusing someone else of talking too much. Well said. And on that note, let's get to game one. Ralph, I'm going to go to you first. Look, the Texans are playing the Chiefs. I'm going into the season with some steadfast rules. One of them is I will not bet the under in a Kansas City game. I know you like the under, and I lean on the under too, especially with it being week one and no real opportunity for the offense to get into sync. I'm just going to stick with my rules. I cannot bet the unders in a Kansas City game. And as for the side, Ralph, I lean on Houston here. I'm much higher on the Texans than both of you guys are. I think the Texans are going to play them close. And I'm even going to sprinkle a small sum of money on the money line, Ralph. I would not be floored if the Houston Texans win this game.
I like the Texans as well. Prez, I will say this. The most astute comment I've heard you make on any show we've done was, how the hell can the Houston Texans, with the best quarterback in the division, be the third pick to win that division? And I completely agree with the point. I started going on shows after you said that, and I used your point. I gave you no credit at all. I completely stole it from you, but I did use it. So I just want you to know that. So, it's actually my idea that you took from me earlier in the year. We will tell everyone that. But listen, week one dogs of 8 or more. Just if you blindly played every week one dog since the year 2000, you have covered 66% of the spread. Why? Offenses aren't in sync. Quarterbacks and wide receivers don't have timing down. The biggest thing here, I think, will be offensive linemen. While a quarterback doesn't throw in the preseason, the number one offensive line plays together week 1, week 2, and week 3. Sometimes week 4. The offensive lineman timing, I think, is going to be the difference here. So to me, clear. KC, yes, best team, number one power rated team. Mahomes sharp as he was last year? No. Houston, rush attack, yes. Dogs of 8 or more, 67% since 2000, and a lean with the under.
Yeah, look, Matt, Mahomes can run. We've all seen it. He can especially throw while on the run. But he's a pocket passer. I think given the lack of preparation, the lack of chemistry that these teams have been able to build up with no preseason, I think it favors Watson and his style of play. Ralph and I both agree. Where are you going in this game?
Well, I think it's interesting because we talked about in the preseason the health factor. Already, Brandon Cooks is listed as questionable for this game, and he was one of those guys, along with Johnson and a couple of other key players on Houston, that I'm like, well, if they're going to play, then I'll back Houston. And already he's questionable. And, Will Fuller's not good necessarily to play 16 games. Bashaud Breeland's suspended for this game, so the number 2 corner for the Chiefs could be a rookie, a 4th-round rookie, a 7th-round rookie, a 6th-round rookie, draft pick from last year. So, there's places that the Chiefs can be exploited. I'm also not as high on Clyde Edwards-Helaire as everybody. Everybody's drafting him in the first round of their fantasy drafts. They're saying he's going to be this big-time hero and everything. I mean, he's a rookie, and I don't know how much any rookie outside of maybe Joe Burrow is going to succeed. Mahomes is 7-0 in September, 23 touchdowns, no interceptions. To me, if there's any place I'm going to go, it's the Texans, but this could also be a live betting game. I want to see what both teams do those first couple drives. Who looks good? How's the pass rush? Where's the chemistry? So to me, I'm going to probably sit out the whole game, and I may live bet this thing once I get a sense of how both teams are looking early on.
It's funny. We were talking about live betting on a show recently, and somebody asked me, you always say put 4% of your bankroll on a certain play. So if you put 4% of your bankroll on, say, the Texans, do you live bet them as well? And if you do, then it's going to be 6%, 8%, 10%, etc. on one play. I look at every bet in isolation. I don't worry about the fact that it's the same game. And the reason I'm saying this is the most amount of money I've ever made betting NFL football was on this Chiefs-Houston game in the playoffs last year. I just kept betting in-game on Kansas City. I must have had 12 different lines. It was an intense second half for me, and I cashed every single bet. So great point, Matt. Everybody take note of that. I agree 100%. I think that's an in-game betting play as well. New England hosting Miami, a -6.5 with the Pats. 43 is the total. I'll go right off the bat and tell you, I think this total is a bit too high. I think every total is going to be high. I'm just going to let you know ahead of time, except one or two. But I think this game is going to be a low-scoring affair, and I lean on Miami as well, Ralph. I need to see something out of New England before I can hand them 6.5 points. And I understand Miami last year and the year before were not very good, but they have shown some incredible moxie, especially towards the end of last season. This is a team that is very well coached. I'm going to take the points, and I'm going to look at the under.
Well, the one thing I'm not going to say, well, I'm going to say it because I don't want to hear people say it. Well, the Patriots have revenge because they lost to the Dolphins week 17. They didn't care about losing to the Dolphins week 17, so that really doesn't mean anything. What does mean something to me is this. The Patriots were a 16 and a 19-point favorite last year. When they were a 19-point favorite and they were trying, they won 43-0. I'm looking at the same team now, and it's 6.5. Has New England digressed 12.5 points from last year's team? Absolutely not. Has Miami gotten 12.5 points better? Absolutely not. Therefore, for me, while, again, I'm not playing the game, I think there's value with New England looking from one season to the next and what the teams did.
Matt, Ralph and I disagree here. But, Ralph, you like the under or the over? Any total thoughts?
I'm with you, Prez. There are very few games that I have marked as overs that I like. And I'm at about 70% I like to the under. And I may get to the window on several totals. The only totals I will get to the window on are unders. I will not be betting a single over week one.
Matt, Ralph, and I both like the unders. I lean on Miami. I'm not betting it. And Ralph leans on the Pats, and he's not betting it. Where are you going?
Well, so I agree on the under, but the thing I'll caution here is this Patriots defense will be nowhere near as good as it was last year. The secondary is going to be very good, although Stephon Gilmore struggled with Devontae Parker last year. He had 8 catches for 137 yards against the corner. But when you look at that front seven, you've got inexperienced linebackers. You've got some defensive linemen. Bo Allen hasn't practiced yet for New England. You've got a second-year player, Byron Cowart, up front. So this to have some time to gel, and we'll see how good the defensive coordinator really is. Oh, yeah, by the way, Landon Roberts and Kyle Van Noy are on the other side with Miami, a Dolphins team that's not going to be scared of playing the Patriots. I think part of the reason why people struggle when they go to Foxborough is the mystique, the aura. They get intimidated by the Patriots. Of course, before they would have gotten intimidated by Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. I don't know necessarily if the Dolphins have that. One of the other things that's interesting here is we don't know about New England's kicker situation. In the past, you've had Gostkowski, you've had Vinatieri, you've had guys you can rely on. I don't know who I can rely on here. So to me, there's a lot of question marks on the Patriots. I'm not running to the window on the Dolphins, but also there's not a lot to like about the Patriots right now.
Guys, you're watching the NFL Presidential Address. Anthony Staron, listen, I agree with your rule. He just refuses to bet against Belichick, and I accept that. And I think that that's a wise rule. I'm not as steadfast with that rule as I am with betting unders in Kansas City. But look, that rule has really helped you over the last 20 seasons because the Pats are, I think, Ralph, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, they're over 60% covering the spread for 18, 19 seasons. It's unbelievable stuff. Carmine Bianco, what's up, brother? I'll see you tonight. Poker at the Prez's house. Anyone in the area? Just email me. You can come play. Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Ravens. And again, Ralph, I'm going straight to the under here. Again, 48.5. And I just want to say for the record that I'm a big fan of what Cleveland has done. I understand they're Cleveland. I'm wary of the fact that they are Cleveland. But I think this team could win the division. I know everyone's so high on Baltimore, and I get it. I think we're going to see a regression with Lamar Jackson. 48.5 points. This Cleveland defense, to me, at least on paper, is probably the strongest defense in all of football. Baltimore's defense is stout as well. I'm worried about the Cleveland quarterback. We'll see what Baker has in store for us. I'm going straight to the under, Ralph. And again, I like the dog here. In a situation where these offenses are not clicking yet, you're going to give me more than a touchdown. I'm going to take it, Ralph.
Well, one thing I'm going to say is it's going to be a hell of a lot easier for the Baltimore Ravens offense to click than most offenses because you're going to run the ball. There's not the timing with the passes.
That's a great
There's not
point.
the wide receivers
Great
you
point.
need. But on the same point, that's going to be the Browns offense this year. The Browns, new head coach Stefanski from the Minnesota Vikings. So what do the Browns do? They now have 5 tight ends on the roster. They have a fullback that they got from Denver. They will be the Minnesota Vikings of the AFC. They will be a rush first team, and they will run the ball, going to what you like on the under, Prez. I've got some numbers to throw out to you, and the first one is, me being a lifelong Browns fan, having lived in Cleveland almost 50 years, Prez, since 1999, that's 22 years. How many season openers have the Browns won straight up?
I'm going with none.
1. They're 1-19-1 straight up in season openers. 6-15 against the spread. So, and I'm going to leave you with this before we get to Matt. This number shocked the hell out of me. I'm stealing this from our good friend Mark Lawrence's Playbook newsletter. When you have a brand new NFL head coach and he starts week 1 as an underdog, they have gone 48-28 against the spread. If that brand new head coach in week 1 is an away dog, 30-11 ATS.
Ralph?
That number blew me away. I could not believe it was that positive for a brand new NFL week 1 away dog head coach.
Ralph, I'm already in Matt's head, and Matt's thinking, yeah, but they didn't have a preseason. Those trends make no difference. Matt, what do you think?
No, that's not, because I think, look, especially when we talk about some of the other new coaches, there's no film. We don't know. I mean, there's no film like with Joe Judge. We don't. We don't have any film on what like Joe Judge is doing in New York and stuff like that. I actually think the first half under might be worth a look. The last 4 halftime scores in this series: 14-6, 10-7, 20-7, 6-3. So if you think there's gonna be a lot of running, and at least early on when everybody's not tired, because once we get to fourth quarter, if there's a lot of running, people are going to start wearing down a little bit. You might see a little bit more, 5, 6, 7 yard chunks. I thought a couple of my own stats that were interesting. Opponents are 9-3 against the spread when Lamar Jackson's 12 times as a home favorite. So that's something that goes along with the Browns. Now, of course, you guys remember, I'm not buying the Browns. I'm not buying Baker Mayfield. I'm not buying your version of the 1985 Chicago Bears on defense. See, I got it right this time, unlike the other time. So I'm not ready to. The number does seem really big here for Cleveland, but look, they're a team that's got a lot of stars on paper. They had a lot of stars on paper last year, and they didn't live up to it. Last stat for you. Marquise Brown, of all the wide receivers with 50 or more targets last year, Marquise Brown had the highest passer rating with 134.4. So when he gets targeted, that ball's getting completed. So he might be somebody to look at week 1 when it comes to props.
Guys, I know some of you mentioned teasers. We're going to talk a little bit about teasers at the end of the show, and I'm also going to let you know we're going to do some Survivor as well. Nice to see you teasing the NFL, Joseph. Gomez, my friend, how are you, brother? Sabino, really nice. Thank you for your great words. And one of you guys thanked us for all the content. Thank me personally for all the content coming out of Wager Talking. Man, I mean, Ralph, dude, it's insane. We are doing like 5 hours a day of live content, give or take. Puck time at 11. Wager Talk today at 12. We got a 2 o'clock baseball show, a 3 o'clock NBA show. We got a golf show, a NASCAR show, this show. We got a tennis show. And on top of all of that, our writing content just blows our video content away, led by Rick Alec and his team over at the Gold Sheet. And, of course, Ralph Michaels putting out free daily content. Just what's going on at Wager Talk. I mean, it's a pleasure to watch. It's unbelievable stuff. Let's get to the next game, boys. Buffalo, New York Jets. I'm already thinking about the Islander game. -6.5 for Buffalo. Total of 39.5 for the Jets. And again, I'm going to the under. Way too high a number. I think we're going to see a lot of running from Buffalo this year. And I think the Jets, they were not in sync last year. There's no reason to think their offense is going to be in sync this year. But, Ralph, you have mentioned many times how good the New York Jets defense is. 39.5 is very big. I'm passing on the side. I'm all over the under.
Again, you have to remember the Jets were a different team with Sam Darnold. I wasn't a huge Sam Darnold fan, but seeing what the Jets did without him relative to what in him, they were a different team with him. So, this is a game I'm going to simply say this. I like Buffalo. I was going to bet Buffalo to win the East if the Patriots didn't sign Newton. Now, Cam Newton going to the Patriots didn't get me to not bet New England, but it kept me off betting the Bills. But I still have that in my mind that I like the Bills. The problem is this. I am a big believer that when teams are progressing from bad to mediocre to good, you have to learn how to win before you have to learn how to cover. When a team is a bad team one year and they become a good team, I will not play them on the road until they learn they can win on the road. I will not bet them as an away favorite until I know I can trust them as an away favorite. The Bills are the same situation. They've only been a 6-point division favorite twice since 2018. They split those games against the spread, both against the Dolphins, until they prove to me that they can go out, be a touchdown favorite against the division foe, and extend that score in the fourth quarter to make sure you're covered. It's a no play for me.
Great point, Matt.
I'll be interested to see what Stephon Diggs does here because he's the first true game breaker that Josh Allen's had. I know people will say John Brown, but I don't believe in John Brown. He's another guy with an injury history. So I do want to see what Stephon Diggs does for this offense. Last year, 3-0 and 6-0 were the halftime scores. Now, I know some people may be like, well, I don't want to cut down and do just the half under. But if you want to consider the first half under, 3-0 and 6-0 were the halftime scores last year. Sam Darnold completed nearly 67% of his passes in 3 games against Buffalo in his career, with 2 of those on the road. So he's put up some good numbers. The question is, who's he going to throw to? I'm actually going to look at any sort of Jamison Crowder props. I think Jamison Crowder is going to get a lot of catches this year, especially out of the slot, because they have nobody else to throw to there.
Yeah, and Darnold stretches the field. So I actually love that prop. And I love the halftime stuff, Matt. I'm going to write this down, but you guys take note of this. If you bet the under across the board blindly in every game in the first half, you're going to be up money, at least in week 1. Las Vegas Raiders playing Carolina. Huge line move here. I mean, this was like pick 'em at some point, the -1. Now we've got a 3 for Vegas. 47.5 is the total. Ralph, I'm outright passing on this game. I need to see both of these teams before I can really assess how to attack either of them.
To me, the Vegas number is just simply that. It's the Vegas number. The people here, the locals in Vegas, were excited when the Golden Knights came. You paid a premium every time you wanted to bet the Knights. The same is going to hold true with the Raiders. I mean, when you have a line that's 2 points difference from the East Coast to the West Coast, obviously there's some allegiance. To me, it's wait and see. I talk to a lot of media guys here in Vegas. They like the way the direction the team's going. But, they're looking at a Carolina team that threw in the towel. They were done. They were injured. They were banged up. The season just got out of hand, and they didn't care about the season. That's not the same Panthers team that's going to line up this week. And, there's some guy there that no one talks about who, when Breeze went down, they thought he wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
Teddy Bridgewater, now 20-2 ATS in non-division games in his career in games he started. That's 20 wins and 2 ATS losses in non-division games. Pass for me. This is a cross-country trip. This is a 10 a.m. time zone trip. I'm gonna just watch and hope the new Vegas Raiders impress me. Being here in Vegas now, it's nice to have a football team that I, at some point, will be able to go watch and see.
Matt?
The Raiders have been a road favorite of 3 points or less just once the last 3 seasons. To me, this line is nuts. Now, whether I actually go through with it and take Carolina is one thing, but I'm not as high on the Raiders. Look, I understand the Panthers are going to be starting a bunch of rookies. The Derek Brown on the defensive line, the Gross Matos kid from Penn State also, Jeremy Chin. They're listing Troy Pride Jr. as a starter at corner. So I understand there's some growth there, but I like Phil Snow as a defensive coordinator. I like Matt Rule. And, oh, yeah, by the way, Joe Brady's a pretty good offensive coordinator. And, oh, yeah, he's got Christian McCaffrey there to use as some sort of Swiss Army knife. The Raiders are starting 2 rookies at wide receiver, and I like Teddy Bridgewater. So to me, if I'm playing anything, and I've seen some juice. I mean, the -3 is some -110s,
It's gonna be 3.5 by Sunday.
I think if it gets to 3.5, I'm taking the Panthers. Now, I may regret this because of the new coaching staff, because of all the youth and everything, but you're telling me the Raiders are going to fly cross-country week 1 with a 10 a.m. body clock, like Ralph said, and they're going to win this game when they're rarely a favorite of a field goal or more. I just think it's nuts that Carolina would be a 3-point dog, and at 3.5, I'm probably going to get in there with the Panthers.
Yeah, and they have the best player on the field by far in Christian McCaffrey. So, yeah, I think it's just a wait and see for me. Joseph Gomez, he doesn't trust Carr. Raiders management is solid, but still building. I couldn't agree with you more. Martin, nice to see you. Love the show. Big fan from Dublin, Ireland. I watch every week, dude.
Say hi to Kevin Dolan.
Yeah, Kevin Dolan lives in Ireland. He's one of our best handicappers as well. But, man, lots of love. Thank you guys so much. Seattle, Atlanta, and again, another nice move. I mean, we had Seattle at pick a -120 a few weeks ago. Now there's 1.5s. There's a few 2s on the board, a total of 49. And Ralph, I know a lot of people who really like Seattle in this spot, and I can argue for an hour on why. I'm pretty high on Atlanta going into this year. Now, I've been high on Atlanta for 2 years in a row going in, and I have screwed up both times. So everything in my being is saying, take Atlanta in this game, but I am going to not touch it. I am going to behave and watch what Atlanta does, but I think we're going to see a really strong Falcons team. I think they have a shot at winning the division. I'm passing on this game.
I'm high in Atlanta too, Prez. And, in fact, the problem is this. I'm high in Atlanta, I'm high on Tampa Bay, I'm high on New Orleans, but I think the NFC South has the best 3 teams. If you take those 3 teams and compare them to any 3 teams in any other division, I think you have the best trio of teams. It's up in the air for me. It's a game that I've gone both ways. And even though I'm on a show like this, and even though we do a lot of reading, and even though I'm a professional handicapper, there's games where I just don't have an opinion on either side. So I'm just going to throw out a couple numbers, both of them which do lean with Atlanta. If you're one of those that believe that a coach starts slow or fast or a team's opening game, I will say this. Pete Carroll is 0-5 ATS his last 5 openers. Atlanta, 11-1 straight up in ATS, their last 12 home openers.
Great stuff. Guys, smash that like button. 160 of you watching, 38 likes. Let's go. Matt, what do you like in this game?
Well, I think much like Ralph and you, I'm going to pass on this game. Every couple of years it feels like Atlanta gets this resurrection, and then they all of a sudden realize Matt Ryan can be good, and Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. I mean, the big question mark here is Todd Gurley. If Todd Gurley works out and gives them a legit running game, then the Falcons can be a really good offense, and they can be that threat in the NFC South. But if he's the guy that's only going to carry the ball 12, 15 times, and he's going to have the knee issues, and he's going to be in and out of the lineup, then this could be just another Falcons team as usual. I'll say this, do not look at last year's game. Seattle won that game in Atlanta, but the quarterback was Matt Schaub, and for some reason they had him throw it 52 times. Now, they were down 24-0 at halftime in that game, but I'm throwing out any game with Matt Schaub there. So I'll sit this one out. I lean to the Falcons, but I can't do it.
Awesome stuff, guys. Look, we got a big slate of cards. There's no bye week, so we got to keep racing through this. But, Ralph, I do have a really great question for you from Anthony Starron. How much are you adding for home field this year, like in your power ratings? I know normally we look at it as around 3 points. Everybody is slightly different. Where are you going with that for your power ratings?
Well, Prez, I helped the Gold Sheet do their power ratings this year. And in the NFL, we only made Minnesota, Seattle, and Kansas City a 3. Everyone else was a 2, and that's when they have fans. So it's 1 or nothing for me. If you want to give someone 1 for familiarity with sight lines and not traveling, then that would be it. But 1 is really the max. So college football is basically 60% for me if there's fans. Some Georgia fans, you're going to have 18,000. Miami's going to have 12. Some places now have none. So 60% of the college football power ratings, in the NFL, a half point or a point max.
Yeah, and Matt, I don't think it's as black and white as that for me, because there are some spots throughout the season where a team is playing on the road, 4 out of 5 weeks. And I think ultimately that does take its toll. I mean, Ralph already mentioned Oakland coming all the way across country. The travel does still play a factor. I'm looking at somewhere between 1 and 2 points instead of 3. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, situationally, I think if you've got a team that's going into Denver early in the season, they're not used to the altitude. Also, if you've got some teams, I know early in the offseason there was talk of flying in the day of the game, and in some cases you may do that, but there could be some jet lag there, and and plus some of these teams that don't have fans right now could have fans by week 7 or 8, so that's something that could change there, and that's why when we did our preseason shows, I was talking about that first 8 games, who has the most home games, who has the most road games. So I think that's something you have to constantly keep up on, is how many fans, when are they coming, and where's the situation for the game.
I love Anthony Terry. Very funny. Guys, if you don't want to smash the like button, as Dave Kokonis suggests, just lightly tap it. Philadelphia Eagles playing a soccer team. The Washington football team. Very creative name. 42 is the total. The Eagles are down to 5.5. There's a lot of money coming in on the soccer team. Ralph, I got nothing here, bro. Again, I'm not touching this game. If I had to go anywhere, I'd take the soccer team, but luckily I don't have to. Go ahead.
Let me make up for my brain fart earlier in the trends and angles section. Those 0-6 teams in division that are playing a division foe the next season, this Washington football team, the Detroit Lions, and the LA Chargers are the 3 teams that applies to. So Washington is in this zone. Also, teams that had a losing season last year and are a division dog, 39-10 against the spread. To me, Washington has upside. You got the best player in the draft in Chase Young, and he's already going to make that D-line something special if everyone can stay healthy. Haskins, people ripped him, but again, I was an Ohio State fan. I know Haskins didn't play 3 years in college football, so he went into the Redskins program having started 12 college football games. There's some people that start 60 college games, so didn't have experience, so I expect improvement from here. But, I hate to say this, I think there's value on Philadelphia, but I'm not going to bet them because they're banged up on the O-line, and I'm going to wait to just hear how Matt dissects his Philadelphia Eagles for us.
Yeah, you did a good job cropping out the Eagles poster background behind me. But here's the thing. I think Washington, the value's right there for them. If you look at the 2 meetings last year, week 1, the Skins were up 17. The Washington football team was up 17-7 at halftime. They were the Skins last year, though, so I guess technically I was right. And the Eagles had to come back and win that game. And by the way, they got 2 Deshaun Jackson touchdowns in that one, and that was the big Deshaun Jackson. That's all he did the rest of the season. The Week 15 meeting in D.C. was nip and tuck back and forth, and Carson Wentz had to get that touchdown pass to Miles Sanders to win that game. And so, look, I think the Washington team, getting rid of Greg Manusky was the biggest thing they did, because that defense was abysmal with him. And by bringing in Jack Del Rio, you've added a competent piece to the front 7 that's going to have the advantage here. Haskins was playing for a coach that didn't want him. Jay Gruden did not want him as his head coach. And so it's hard for a quarterback to succeed when you're playing in a system and for a coach that doesn't want you. So to me, look, I like what the Eagles have, and I'm higher on the Eagles than others. But in this situation, they actually lose because usually when they go to D.C., it's an Eagles home game. There's more Eagles fans there than WFT fans for this game. So to me, I agree with the money move. I think there's still a little value at 5.5. If there's any 6s still out there, I think the Skins are the way to go. And I think the under for this one is also the way to go.
Yeah, we're on the same page there, Matt. Guys, we're going to keep this show week to week at under an hour. Today's probably going to be a little longer given that there's no teams off on buys. But, hey, I feel better, Ralph. Bet on it, our flagship NFL show, according to everybody that's not me, because I think this is our flagship NFL show, was 2 hours long last week. So We'll go a little longer than an hour. I mean, you guys are incredible. And Matt, outstanding job. First time up on the NFL Presidential Address. Guys, it's going to be the three of us all year long, so long as Matt and Ralph will give me their time. 4 p.m. Eastern every single Wednesday from here on in. We will always try to keep this show to around the hour mark. But given that there's no show coming up after us, we could ramble a little bit. Chicago Bears, Detroit Lions. God, did I hear that Trubisky might actually be a quarterback in this league again? A total of 44.5. Detroit at -3. Flat out, I'm higher on Detroit than a lot of people I know, like Cleveland. They're Detroit. I get it. I think they made some good moves this offseason. I think Stafford's going to have a breakout season. I like the over in the total yards on the season for Matt Stafford as well. I bet that. I'm going on Detroit here, and I like the under a lot, Ralph. Look, Chicago's defense is exquisite, absolutely awesome. I can't bet. I need to see what the Chicago team does. Who's going to be behind center? What type of play calling is it going to be? How conservative? I'm lost. I'm passing on the side. I do lean on the under.
Well, I'm going to bring it up again. Mitch Trubisky is a kid that I watched in Mentor, Ohio, when I was still living in Cleveland. My son and I went to a couple games and watched him. You know, he's a kid that went to North Carolina, played 1 year. He played 1 year in college and all of a sudden jumped up and became the #1 pick. He had to learn how to play. I am all over Chicago in this game. It's probably going to make my card. Their defense was #4 in points per game, #5 in yards per game. It sets totally apart from the Detroit Lions, who were number 31. And, you know, it was a season that fell apart last year. The expectations were high. Well, guess what? If you're an NFL head coach and if you have Mitch Trubisky and Nick Foles, you're not just going to say Trubisky's the quarterback because you want to piss off everyone. He's the quarterback because he got made better, because he had competition with Foles, and he beat him out. I give total faith in the coach. I think we have the better team getting points with the better defense. Bears for me.
Matt?
Well, I like you. I see. The problem is I made a case for both sides here. I, like you, love Matt Stafford. I've already loaded up on his props. Last year, he was so good those first 8 games, and then he gets hurt. And, of course, you can't look at those 2 meetings last year because Jeff Driscoll and David Blough, wherever his last name is, were under center for the Lions. So their offense was all discombobulated. I question Detroit's hire at defensive coordinator, the Eagles secondary coach, which was consistently the worst group of the Eagles defense time after time as their new DC. Of course, Matt Patricia is probably going to have his hands on it. He's going to make a lot of moves there. This is a defense last year that gave up the second most fourth quarter points, had the second least sacks, and had the worst pass rush win rate. So they bring over more Patriots. They try and become Foxborough West, yes, except for them. Mitch Trubisky, 3-0 against the Lions, throws for nearly 290 passing yards per game in this one. So I can make a case for the Bears in that I think that they're the better defense and you're getting the better skill position guys. But I can also make a case for the offense and the Lions because I really like Matt Stafford this year. So when that happens, I kind of don't really have a lead in this game.
But Matt, let's be serious for a second. If it really got down to the nitty-gritty, who would you want to side with, Ralph or Prez?
I would side with Matt Stafford, but I would also side with the Bears defense, so that's really odd. So no, I'm not. Don't make me choose in my first week here. I can't pick between my parents here. Come on now.
Hey, I'm just going to leave that. I'm not even going to go there. I would always choose Ralph. Sabino, thanks for the nice words, brother. Really do appreciate it. And yeah, guys, keep hitting that like button. Indy Jacksonville, -8 for Indianapolis, a total of 45. The unders, 73% of the tickets are on that under. 67% of the tickets written on Indianapolis. And I think Indianapolis is coming into the season with a very high hopes. I think Jacksonville, we're all down on them. Look, the bottom line is I bet and released. Here's a client play for you all. I bet under the total in the win-loss for Jacksonville. There's 5 out there, 4.5. I think Jacksonville's going to win 2 games. I think this is a transition year for them. It might end up being a transition decade for them. We'll find that out as the decade progresses. But, Ralph, I can't take -8 here. I like under the total. I do lean on Indianapolis, but I'm going to stay away from the side.
I'm going to just echo your sentiments, Prez. I am not going to bet the Jaguars. To me, they've quit. The people they've traded, what you're doing, you're just trying to get Trevor Lawrence in the draft. Maybe they're wrong. Maybe those pros didn't play to the potential. Maybe those pros didn't want to practice. But to me, it's a team that certainly has tried to jettison their extra salaries, to trade for some young players, and to get rid of their stars. So it's one way for me. It's bet against Jacksonville. But in this situation with Phillip Rivers learning that offense and making sure he can become a game manager and not make mistakes, I'm just going to watch.
Yeah. Well, good luck to Indy, man. They go from Manning to Luck to Rivers. Hopefully they can get it going again. Matt, before I ask you about this game, Anthony Steron makes a great point. Me and you are both very high on Matt Stafford. What about betting him for comeback player of the year?
We talked about that during the preseason. The list for comeback player of the year, because don't forget, there's Rob Gronkowski. And oh yeah, by the way, if Alex Smith plays a game, he will win comeback player of the year. Let's just mark that down now. Don't even vote on the award. Actually, I don't even know if we could look up what the Alex Smith odds are for comeback player of the year. I would bet it now, because if he even takes one snap, he will be comeback player of the year, considering what he had to go through.
Great stuff, dude. Okay, talk to us. Indy, Jacksonville, what do you like?
So as part of my quote-unquote handicapping, I'll never lay this many points on the road. I don't care who it is. I don't care if they're traveling to play the Little Giants. I know the Colts are the better team, but weird things happen in this situation. By the way, Colts are 1-9 in season openers, straight up. The last time they won a season opener, 2013, they won. They beat the Raiders when Terrell Pryor was there, 21-17. Colts also haven't won in Jacksonville since 2014. So a couple of trends going against them there. Some other things to point out real quick: the Colts kicker is Rodrigo Blankenship, which he's a rookie. He was good in college. That's a question mark. Now, of course, Adam Vinatieri missed a ton of field goals for them last year, so it's nothing different. I'm excited to see James Robinson, the number one running back for the Jaguars. He's a bowling ball type running back out of Illinois State. That's the FCS nerd in me that wants to see him. By the way, I think it's also ironic. The most fans that anybody could potentially have in the stands this weekend could be in Jacksonville, where they're allowed to have about 16,000 fans. So a place that doesn't need 16,000 fans is going to have that many this weekend.
Well, that could be more fans. Sorry, Ralph.
Let me just jump in, because I looked up what Major Matt wanted. Ben is plus 300, Cam's plus 300, J.J. Watt plus 700, Matthew Stafford plus 700, Gronkowski 700, A.J. Green 1,000, Alex Smith 1,200.
See, it's a loaded field.
Yeah, I like Stafford at that number. And A.J. Green, I mean, who knows? He could have a monster, but I don't see a wide receiver winning that award. Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, minus 2.5. There's threes on around, but they're at plus 100, so you can just buy down. A total of 45.5. And Ralph, here I go again. I'm going straight to the under, man. Look, I think we're going to see the same type of conservative offense out of Minnesota. I think with Diggs not there to stretch the field, they're really relying on their tight end and Thielen to make catches. I think they're going to run. I think they got a great defense. I think we're watching Green Bay sort of go from a team that was, really heavy on Aaron Rodgers' arm to a team that's starting to find a little bit more balance. I think the under is in play here.
Well, I mean, there's not very many times in the NFL where you have a 13-3 team and they got outgained on the year. The Green Bay Packers were minus 7.1 yards per game. The Green Bay Packers were minus 0.2 yards per play. The Minnesota Vikings at 10-6 were on the plus side on both. So, I'm looking at a Minnesota team that was better, that's at home, against the Green Bay Packer team, which is so driven by one player. This team knows how to defend that player. It's the Vikings for me. I get leery, though, that they are in my top 5 to make my card, but I still have an issue giving Aaron Rodgers a field goal in a division game where I have a conservative offense.
Yeah, makes total sense. Carmine Bianco getting a little lippy in the chat room. Just said he stepped out to grab some cash for my poker game tonight. He called everybody at the poker game fish. That would beg the question, why'd you go get some cash, big boy? Couldn't you just bring a 20 and take all our money? Come on, let's go. Matt Joseph, what do you like in this game?
Well, so to me, I'll be the broken record here and once again say I'm leaning towards the under. The under's hit three straight in this series. Couple of interesting notes here. Former Packers defensive coordinator Dom Capers is a senior advisor in Minnesota. Now, granted, it's been a couple years since Capers was with Green Bay, but maybe he knows a couple of things about this Packers team that he can help out for the Vikings. Who knows how much Yannick Ngakoue is going to play? He's a big addition to that Minnesota defensive line, which is going to be really good. Also, you've got the right side of the Packers offensive line, Ricky Wagner and Billy Turner, both missed a lot of time. We don't know if either of them going to play. So that's a whole side of that offensive line that, you could see Aaron Rodgers on the run a lot. I would lean to the Vikings. I try not to bet a lot with Kirk Cousins because I don't like Kirk Cousins. But to me, I think the under's the better play here because this number is just slightly too big.
Yeah, no.
Prez, I got an angle for you. Sorry to jump in
anytime,
again.
Ralph.
Prez, you got to look at my pen. When my pen's up, it means I got to give you a number because I went to the database.
On top of running the show, paying attention to the chat room, making sure the volume is correct, staring at Matt's gorgeous eyes, I got to now look at your stinking pen? Okay.
You do, because
I'm staring at your pen.
It is database worthy. Okay? We know the Vikings, we know the division, we know the conservativeness. This is just a number to back them off. When the Vikings are a favorite of 3 or more against division foes, they've gone 0-9 under the last 3 years. Not only have they gone under, they've gone under with an average score of 19.3 to 12.9, so 33 points per game, which is 9.6 points under the total. So when you have an 0-9 number that goes under by 9.6 points per game, a strong angle.
Guys, before we get to the next game, I want to lay the gauntlet down. Ralph, you're on Bet on It every now and then, right?
Every day. Okay. Every segment.
So let them know this. We won't count this week, but the three of us will come up with 3 consensus plays on a weekly basis on the real NFL show. This one started 3 years before that one. Let them do the same. I'll put $1,000 of my own money up against the Bet on It, guys. The 3 of us, consensus 3 plays against them, 3 top plays. The clients will love it. I'll put up my own money. Bring Gianni on. Let's go. Make sure to mention that to them, Ralph. We'll start it next week. I'm Lawrence President, Matt Joseph, Ralph Michaels. You're watching the NFL Presidential Address. LA Chargers, Cincinnati Bengals, -3 for the Chargers, 3.5 at some books, 43 is the total. Back to the under, Ralph. What can I say? I can't touch the side here. So many unknowns with both of these teams. Look, I lean on the under. I am staying away from this game, and I said it at the beginning of the show. I'm going to be conservative this week. Here's another game I'm going to pass on.
Yeah, well, I agree with you, Prez. I'm going to be conservative too, because that Bengals team last year that was number 29 in defense, following 393 yards per game, wasn't as bad as the number 29 defense. But when you have absolutely no offense, no quarterback, your best wide receivers out, the team is a shambles. Well, yeah, you're going to give it up because you're on the field for 45 minutes a game. You are going to give up a lot of yards. So, as the offense improves for Cincinnati, the defense improves. And you know what? I am one to play against a rookie quarterback. They've changed quite a bit. Rookie quarterbacks are much better now than they used to be. I mean, they come out of training camps in high schools, and in college you're practicing at a different level. So there's no question a rookie quarterback in this day and age is prepared to play in the NFL, whereas 10 years they weren't. That's why teams like last year, the Arizona Cardinals, what did they do? They tied their first game against Detroit, but we saw him play better than we thought we would. I am going to just wait and see. I am not going to lay points with this team on the road. And the Bengals, you look at their talent.
Yeah,
I mean,
dude.
you look at Mixon at running back, and you look at the wide receivers, and then they draft Higgins in number 2 as well. They have some depth in the skill position players. So it's up to Joey Burrow. I didn't think he could do what he did at LSU last year. So he proved me wrong once. I will wait and see and not let him prove me wrong twice.
Yeah, no, and Matt, I'm a monster fan of Joe Burrow. I think this guy's going to have a massive career. But like Ralph, it's a pass. Go on.
You guys know you guys were on the show with me in the preseason. I love the Chargers this year. They've made the first good decision with making Tyrod their starter, and as long as Tyrod's in there, I'm backing this team. Now, not necessarily in this game, but I have higher expectations for the Chargers this year. I think Tyrod's an upgrade over a decrepit Phillip Rivers, who just didn't fit in this offense. Tyrod doesn't turn the ball over. They'll matriculate the ball down the field with Austin Eckler. They've got Hunter Henry, who I think is going to be busy. I want to buy some shares of Hunter Henry this year. I think Allen's going to be busy. Mike Williams is a game time decision, but if he plays, he's going to be nice to have. And this defense, look, I am sick that Derwin James got hurt because he is one of the big heartbeats of this team, but their front seven is fierce. They've got 2 good corners. I'm not going to back the Chargers. I'm just going to sit here with my futures and hope and pray they win this game because I am so high on the Chargers this year.
Ralph, what are you going to tell the bet on it team?
That you want to bet 3 games a week for $1,000.
Yeah. They can all put money in. I'll go 1,000 each. Kelly, Marco, Gianni. Let's go. We got the best damn NFL show. With that said, that show's so freaking awesome. Here I am, like one of the owners of Wager Talk, dissing one of our flagship shows. Those guys are utterly incredible. And the show's so well produced. I mean, Joe's just doing such a killer job. Arizona, San Francisco, -7. It was 6.5. 7. It makes it more interesting for me because I like Arizona. We've got a total of 48, and I like the over in this game as well. That's what I'm looking at. What do you think, Ralph?
I like Arizona. I was impressed last year. They exceeded my expectations. I think like Arizona got upgraded too much because DeAndre Hopkins. I think Houston got downgraded too much because of DeAndre Hopkins. But it gives them a player. Isaiah Simmons proves he was legit. They're on a 17-11 run as a dog. And I don't mean to keep stealing things off Mark Lawrence's playbook, but you have Mark on Wager Talk every Wednesday, correct? And I will say this, his plays are on Sports Memo. And since I'm stealing one more thing from his Playbook newsletter, if you go to playbook.com, it's a newsletter that's worth subscribing for. So amazing. This is his awesome angle of the week, because I'm going to steal it from you, Mark, is defending Super Bowl losers in game 1. If they're playing a division foe and they're a dog or a favorite of up to 8, so they're in this range, they've lost 10 straight years. So 0-10 ATS in that role for a Super Bowl hangover. Is it a legitimate thing? Yeah, I think it is. And you know what? Arizona's covered 5 straight against San Fran, so they're not intimidated by this team at all.
Matthew?
The one thing that concerns me about this is last year, San Francisco threw for over 700 yards in the 2 games. And if they're going to beat you through the air, then they're going to beat you no matter what, because San Francisco wants to run the ball. And 718 yards, that might be like what, a half of what Jimmy G put up all year last year. The question marks for the 49ers start up front. I mean, you look, Weston Richburg, their starting center, is going to get put on the PUP list. His backup is dealing with an ankle injury. You've got Daniel Brunskill, who could be moving from right guard to center. You've got a reserve lineman in Tom Compton, who's going to start at right guard. So that's a little bit of a worry there. On the Cardinals side, they are 2-11-1 in September since 2015. And as Ralph says, when you're a losing team, or at least you're used to losing, it takes you time to make that next step. And so I don't think they're going to jump from being a poor team to being a great team. This is a game that I think a lot of squads could cover, could win, but I don't know. I need to see it first from the Cardinals. I need to see year 2 from Kyler Murray before I actually jump on board.
Simo, I'm loving you. Thanks for the nice words, dude. Ralph, you can't help the bet on it team. You're part of this show. We're going to do the consensus picks, just the 3 of us. They're not even going to take me up on this offer, though, by the way. What do you think? What do you think the chances are?
I think Mark, Kelly will bet on anything. So, I think Marco will too. He just, It'll be interesting. We'll see what they say.
Okay, well, you'll let us know, and then if it's a go, we'll tweet it out, and we'll start next week. We'll skip this week. But guys, in all seriousness, that Bet On It show is just phenomenal. Make sure to check it out. And Ralph, it does go tonight, right?
They're actually filming right. They're going to be filming right as we are filming, Prez. So it'll be on right after that. And just moving forward, so people know, it's a very segmented 50-minute show moving forward. They did conference previews the last 2 weeks, where now it's to the same format that they're accustomed to from last year.
Perfect, brilliant. Make sure to tell them the challenge is on, and we can each have that consensus segment at the end of each of our shows. Biggest game of the week. Brady, Breeze, Tampa Bay against New Orleans, -3.5 for New Orleans, a total of 49. And Ralph, I like the over. My only over that I like all week. I think this is like I don't see how this game doesn't get really high up in the scoring. I mean, Jesus, Brady. I mean, what he has around him, he has never had. Gronk, tight end, another great tight end. Brait. Mike Evans, one of maybe the most underrated wide receiver in football. A ridiculous running game. A coach that wants to score. And New Orleans, well, I mean, they got the best wide receiver in football, an incredible quarterback, Kamara coming out of the backfield. And neither of these teams are a rock on defense. I like the over in this game. I don't know what to do sidewise. It's going to be a fun one to watch.
You know, it's pretty much been the same teams. I mean, 4 of the last 5 have gone over. People talk about Brady and how he's going to make Tampa Bay so much better. I think Tampa Bay's offense will probably go down. You know, last year, Tampa Bay was number 3 in points per game.
And number 1
The problem was
Jameis
just threw the ball over so much that they had to keep scoring to try to keep up. So, you know, they were offense-wise, they were number 3 at 397 yards per game. I think Brady will have a slower, more conservative offense. I think their numbers actually go down. Now, that doesn't mean they're not going to be more efficient.
Right.
And their points per game diff will be a big difference. Tampa Bay last year, I mean, does this surprise you? Tampa Bay had the number 5 diff in yards per play. So their offense did move the ball. In the last 6 or 7 years, this head coach has led passing. His NFL teams have led passing each in all but one season. So I don't know if Brady's arm is going to be able to throw the ball that much. With that said, my power ratings are right on the number. But I do have to just give a slight lean to New Orleans. I have to go on record making a slight lean with New Orleans being at home in this situation without having to learn the new offense, without having to learn any of the personnel moves. And they're laying a price that is very, very reasonable. So pass, opinion only, just to go on the record that I had the Saints.
Yeah, and Ralph, look, I think you're right about the Tampa Bay offense. I think they are going to decline in both passing yards and probably points scored. But they are going to be way more balanced this year. They're going to have way less turnovers. They're going to have much shorter fields to work with, and they're not going to be playing from behind all game long. So I think you're dead on. Much more efficient, less production. Matt, where are you going in what is clearly the game of the week?
Well, so first off, we've talked about in the preseason, for those who didn't watch the videos, I think Gronk is going to be an over on touchdowns for the season. I think he's going to be under for the yards. I think between the 20s, he's just not going to be as busy. But in the red zone, he's going to be a beast. So I'll be looking probably to play a Gronk score touchdown prop on Sunday, especially if, as Anthony says, Evans is questionable. He's got the hamstring injury. They're not sure if he's going to play. So I definitely look to Gronk to score a touchdown here. A couple of things I don't think people are discussing here. Jameis Winston's the third-string quarterback, but he did play with the Bucs last year, and I think Jameis will be able to help out. Whether it's little things here and there, I think that he's going to know some stuff about Tampa Bay that's going to help them out. Also, and if you guys don't kick me off after saying this, I think week 1, we already have our first disrespect card being played. I think the Saints have heard all couple of weeks. They get the Bucs get Leonard Fournette, and they add this, who I think is a washed-up running back, a veteran who's not going to add very much. They hear all about how great Tampa Bay is. Oh, Gronk and Brady and Godwin and all this stuff. I feel like the Saints are going to play the disrespect card. I feel like the Saints win this game rather easily. Now, I wish it was 3 because then that would feel a whole lot more comfortable. It's the key number in the NFL, but I just think New Orleans at home with a group that pretty much knows each other. By the way, also, the Emmanuel Sanders addition is going to help. He's going to get the tough yards, the tough catches for this team. I think New Orleans plays the disrespect card, wins this game rather easily after hearing all about how great Tampa Bay is.
Yeah, Ralph, look, we got to get the show moving, but, a lot of people, they talk 3 as the key number, 3.5. Offhand, and I could be wrong, I think it's actually only an 8% difference between 3 and 3.5. And everybody, please keep in mind, any team that wins, if the spread is under 6, it's around 80% you win, you cover. So don't get that scared of the hook. It's also why they charge 20 cents to buy the hook when it's only worth 8 cents. I'm the Prez. Ralph, I saw the pen. I saw the pen.
I want to say one thing when people, this is just a quick tip. It's only going to be relevant for 3 or 4 people, and it may only save them pennies. But if you're in Vegas and we talked about a 3 minus 20 or 25s, I'm going to give a shout out to Chris Andrews at the South Point. If they hang a number, they do not raise the juice. So you are getting 3 minus $1.10 all the way until they go to 3.5. Nice. So if you're in town, it may only save you 20 cents, but every 20 cents helps.
Hey, guys, nice to see you. Paco, Mr. LaRusso, nice to have you join us, my friend. Jordan Gallagher, Leonard Fournette is not a washed-up veteran, to say the least. And he's probably a pissed-off player as well, but it doesn't look like he's going to be the starting running back. But, hey, we're only going into week 1. Cowboys-Rams. 51.5 minus 3. I love the Cowboys on paper, Ralph. I think this team could be the best team in all of football. I got to see what happens. I think Mike McCarthy's a really bad coach. I think he doesn't have a clue what's going on offensively anymore. I'm going to lay off of the side in this game. I lean on the over. I'm not touching this game, which is such a shame given that it's the Sunday night football game. Talk to me.
I will not be on either, but I like Dallas as well. Dallas last year, number 2 in the NFL in yards per game diff, plus 104 yards per game. In the last 9 years, there have only been 5 teams to be plus 100 yards per game or more in the NFL. Plus 1.3 yards per play. That was number 2 in the NFL. I think this team knows how to go on the road. I think the Rams are a team that, on paper, they still have some talent. I think McCarthy is, again, we all know he's a puppet for Jerry Jones. We all know that there's only a certain coach that could be Jerry Jones's coach because he likes to delve in and be basically an owner / co-head coach. But in this case, with the opener in place, I think the Cowboys win this game. So I don't want to be wishy-washy in every opinion. Will it be on my card? No, but it's certainly in the upper third of my plays that I had check marks to and I liked going into this weekend.
Awesome stuff. Matt Joseph, we just got our first thumbs down. It must have been John Oliver. He's mad you stole his look.
It could be, or it could be Leonard Fournette. He could be watching, and he was very offended by my portrayal of him. And maybe we'll get some Cowboys fans or Rams fans who won't like what I'm about to say. I mean, I'm down on the Rams. I mean, my favorite win total is the under for the Rams. I think 8.5 is way too many for this team. I think you've got a rookie kicker in the Rams, and I'm not a Jared Goff guy. I think Jared Goff is overrated, and if Sean McVay can't make him look good, then that's going to be a big issue. Their running backs as a group are okay. I mean, Cam Akers could be okay. Malcolm Brown, Darrell Henderson, they've got good wide receivers. The defense is overpaid in some places and young in other places. So to me, I certainly can't root for the Cowboys. I'm not going to play this game, but I hope the Rams lose because I have them losing this game in my projections for the win total.
There you go. Guys, hit that like button, please. We're at 84, 211 live watching the show now. Help us out. Ralph, let's do both Monday night games at the same time. I'll be super quick. Pittsburgh, New York Giants. Total is 47.5. Giants are going to run. I like the under. I like the Giants. Tennessee and Denver, 41.5. That's insane. I'm all over the under.
Here's the number, guys. This is an angle. This is a wow angle. We talk numbers all the time. When the Pittsburgh Steelers are an away favorite of 3 or more, 1-19 and 1 over under. It makes perfect sense. You're the better team. When Tomlin has the lead, he gets conservative. He wants to run that ball. They're not a good away favorite because they don't care how much they win by. So when the Steelers are an away favorite of 3 or more, 1-19 and 1. I like the under in that game. I think they're laying way too much now. I'm not sure why that line move went from up to 6 now. I'd almost lean with the Giants with the way it went. And in the flip side, I had a slight lean with Denver. That game has moved, 5 points? It's almost gone from 2 to 3. If Denver's getting a field goal plus at home on Monday night, while I didn't even think I had an opinion on them, a 6-point swing gets me all of a sudden very interested in them.
Absolutely. Matt, what do you like in the Monday night games?
I think I like both home dogs. I mean, much like you guys said, I like the under for the Steelers-Giants game. When you look at the Steelers, no David DeCastro, that'll hurt their offensive line continuity up front. Big Ben, a year older. We'll see how he does. But as I said earlier, no film on Joe Judge. I mean, there's film on Jason Garrett and what he did in Dallas, but different talent around him. Now, Daniel Jones, year 2, I want to see less interceptions. He had 18 fumbles as a rookie last year, so that's a concern. But to me, I like the Steelers a lot this year. I think they could challenge Baltimore. But on the road, weird Monday night game in New York. Giants, I feel like, are a better team than the number says, so I lean to the Giants as well. Much like Ralph, I like the Broncos at -1, and I know the injuries. Look, the loss of Von Miller's huge. Bradley Chubb's going to be on a pitch count. You've got Drew Lock in year 2 of that offense, so we'll see if he takes a step here. But with this line move, if I like them potentially at -1 or a pick 'em, I mean at 2.5, and if it somehow gets to 3, I'll be probably interested in the Broncos as well.
He's mid-major, Matt. You can find him at sportsmemo.com. Ralph Michaels, of course, wagertalk.com. I'm Lawrence Presman, and you can find me at wagertalk.com as well. I have a 5% play up in NFL for week 1. Check that out. Guys, we're going to end every show with 3 segments. We're going to end them with the teaser segment, a survivor segment, and whether Bet On It takes us up or not, we're just going to make this show even better. We're going to end with a consensus 3-pack every show except this one. We're going to do it by email beforehand. So Ralph, Matt, you and I, we're going to come up with 3 picks every week that we all agree on. Our listeners deserve them. They are picks that I am going to personally bet. So we're going to leave that to next show. Teaser segment, guys. I only do 3-team 10-point teasers. I have nothing this week. Ralph, anything from you?
Yeah, I'm going to go to the AFC East and just take the Patriots and the Bills to win. I think New England can beat Miami. I think the Bills can beat the Jets. I like both teams, and I think both teams have full effort and are much better teams week 1.
Matthew?
I agree there. See, I was going to go get dangerous and do it since it's a 10-pointer, make the Washington football team up to 16, but I'm not going to be – this is week 1. I can't do that. So I'll go with Ralph here and do the Bills and the Patriots because I think both of those teams are going to win.
Boys, I need to play for Survivor. I'm in 2 different leagues. I'm in one by myself. I'm also in one with Carm. Carm and I will be meeting tonight to discuss. To me, look, I like to play against teams in Survivor as opposed to on teams, and it's hard not to play against Jacksonville. I'm leaning right now on Indianapolis as my Survivor pick. I have not decided yet, but that is really the only one that is standing out to me. Ralph, do you see anything?
I don't, Prez. I haven't played Survivor, but I will say this. When I look at the rest of the Colts schedule, the only other time I have them as a favorite of over 3 is against the Jets, who I think are a team you don't want to play, against the Bengals, who might be better with a rookie head coach, or Jacksonville week 17. And why save it? Because it's probably going to be done before then. So it makes sense when you look at their schedule in advance and what other times they'll be a touchdown plus favorite.
Raymond logs in. Hilarious. If you are a sports bettor, you're going down the tubes with these losers. I'm assuming we're the losers, except the irony is magnificent. I didn't log into his show. He logged into ours. How do you define loser? Matt, anything for me in Survivor?
I mean, so here I'm different when it comes to Survivor. I know, I work with somebody who does one of these things where they plan out every week. Well, you got to get
Johnny's
to that week.
out of control.
I don't do that. I want to win week 1, and then I'll worry about week 2, and then I'll worry about week 3.
That's how I do it.
So to me, I'm going with the Bills. I don't think the Jets win. I'm going with the Bills. I stick with home teams. I know the Colts are probably the most logical play, but they still struggled in openers. They still, the Jaguars, if they ever have a chance to rise up, it would be week 1. And I'm just going with the Bills here. Week 1, I'm taking the home team against the Jets.
Yeah, and you know what? I think ultimately that's what Carmine and I will decide. I'll take the Bills in the one Survivor with Carmen. I'll take Indianapolis in the other. Guys, what a privilege to do the show with both of you. And really all the great feedback in the chat room. The love coming to Wager Talk. It's just so well received. I have to just say hi to Mappy McMap because his name is so damn cool. I wanted to say it. How are you, West Coast? Nice to see you, brother. Every week, Wednesdays, 4 p.m. Eastern, the presidential address. We take apart every game on the board. And we have a Survivor pick. And we have a teaser play. And starting next week, we will have 3 consensus plays that I am personally going to bet my hard-earned money on. Hopefully bet on it. We'll take the bait. You know why I did that, Ralph? It's really simple. I'm a WWE fanatic. I mean, I grew up watching Hulk, Iron Sheik, Stone Cold, The Rock. I follow it today with Cena, Randy Orton Jr. If somebody is bigger than you, and if somebody is better than you, call them out.
Well, are they better or are they just bigger?
Well, it's better produced. Gianni is a god. I mean, from a gambling perspective.
Or is it because they have Kelly? If they have
they
Kelly
got Kelly as a host, Marco, my co-partner in Wager Talk, as an analyst. Gianni, who's probably the single best analyst we have at Wager Talk. It's a power show. I'm calling him an out because I want to grow our show in their wake. I'm the Prez. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next Wednesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the NFL Presidential Address.